So this is a production tutorial for how you can beef up your tracks to get them ready to be licensed for TV shows, movies, and commercials. The track I'm working with today came from a member of the syndicate. His name's Thomas, awesome dude, and he's submitting for one of the licensing opportunities that I have right now, which is a rock slash orchestral hybrid album. I'm looking for 12 tracks. And so he uploaded this track called Barbed Wire, and the first attempt at it I thought was very strong, and I thought it was definitely in the right direction. However, there were a few things instantly that I told him to fix and re-upload the track. Some of the things, and I'll show you the revised version, but the first one he sent, there wasn't enough low end in it. The guitars sounded like they needed a little bit of growl, something a little bit more on the low end. They sounded like they were kind of coming out of like a tweeter speaker, very, very tinny and not very heavy. And I in general felt like it just needed to be beefed up. Like the drums need to be hitting harder, that it needed to be some more kind of industrial metal sounds clinking around in there basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I would beef up a track like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'll hit play on his original track. I'll solo it out so you can hear what he had created. And again, this is a great start. I don't mean to be harping on Thomas. You did a great job. I just want to show everybody this is a great place to start, and then I'm going to kind of show you where you need to go to finish up your tracks, okay? So here's the original track. So it's a hard hitting song. I love the way this track is going already. And if you noticed, he did a great job with the transitions. You have those dropping 808s. He has some awesome glitchy sound effects going in between. So he's giving the editor of a TV show or a trailer a lot of options to be able to get in and out of the track however he needs to. So those are the things that I think this track has going for it. What I think it lacks, other than the elements that I talked about before, which is some hard-hitting drums, some more growly guitars, is it needs a little bit more movement, things that are pushing the track forward. Even though we're only going to be, let's see, what was that? Just basically 30, seconds, 45 seconds into the track. There still needs to be a lot of movement going forward, even that soon into the track. What do I mean by that? Well, there needs to be new elements being added to keep your attention hooked. Otherwise, if you don't add new elements, like let's say some new percussion, some new strings, some new synthesizers, you'll start to feel like you're listening to a loop and it's just going over and over and over again. And that's going to kind of bore the music supervisor or the editor that's choosing the track. So you want something that keeps their interest and keeps them moving forward. And also, more importantly, for the scene that this track gets placed in, there needs to always be something that's moving, pushing the direction of the audio forward and pushing the story forward. Because obviously every show or trailer, it's always about that forward momentum. What's coming next? What's going to happen next? So anyways, I'm going to show you how I basically started beefing up this track, and how you guys can do this as well with your tracks as you start to submit them, either for this licensing opportunity or maybe one in the future, or for whatever music you're working on for whatever project this might be of use to you too. So the first thing I did, I'm going to actually loop out just the first couple of bars. Actually, I'll do the first 2 bars there. I started messing around with some really industrial, heavy, crazy drums. So the first thing I did was I threw in a kick drum and a huge snare, so the boom and crack. And as you can see, I've labeled my tracks here, and I've color coded everything. I can unsolo everything so you can see. Very important. You gotta stay organized, and you gotta stay very on top of your production to make sure that, like, when you need to go find a sound that you had released or put into your track before, it's not called track 1A, track 1B, Untitled, whatever, right? You're gonna be searching, wasting all that needless time doing that. I know it's a little bit of work up front to go through and label all your tracks like this, and color code things, but it'll look better, it'll look prettier, and it'll just be way better for your organizational needs later on down the road. Especially if, let's say, 2 months later somebody says, hey, we need another mix of that old track that you did, but we want you to take out this, do this, whatever the instructions are. You can go in and instantly, boom, solo out something, mute something, whatever you need to do. So it's a little bit of work, but man, it does pay off in the long run. It's just a really good work habit to get into. So let's solo out his track, and I'll throw some boom and cracks on there. You can hear what I did. So basically what that did instantly is just add a little bit more crack and hit to his drums. Because right now his drums, if you listen to them, they sound just like a traditional rock drum kit. Now with mine on top of it, you hear how these drums are now just, they're just hitting you a little bit more in the chest, okay? Then I add some really cool sound effects. So I have this metal clinking sound. I'll show you what that one sounds like. And by the way, these are all coming from Contact 5. I have a library called, I believe this is Evolved Mutations 2. You can see it right here. Really, really good library if you guys want to get this. They have awesome industrial metal sounds you can use. So I put this one in there. As you can hear, it just sounds like you're in a, factory somewhere and somebody's hitting some metal. And then this one was a really interesting, weird sound effect. Kind of a glitchy, weird thing. So you can hear that. Now all together with his track. So you hear the texture that it's adding now. It's adding that like kind of gritty industrial sound. Also, I thought that the start of that phrase needed a crash. This is a crash 10, which is actually in the sound effects pack that came with the master course. So you guys have this crash. And I threw that in there. So that just seemed to me, it needed a crash. It needed something on the top to just give it that sizzle to start off the track. Okay, so I've also incorporated some dubstep wobble synths into this track as well. So I found these two, which I thought were pretty cool to throw in. So check out this. Okay, so what those two are basically just, maybe solo those out. It's just two synths from Massive. So Massive is an awesome plugin. Definitely get it if you don't have it. There's tons and tons of presets and plugins, and then you can go in and actually change things. If you want it to like wobble for 16th notes, you can change that. You change that to 8th notes, 12, quarter notes, whatever you want. You can change the envelope. There's obviously a million and one things you can do. There's hours and hours of tutorials on how to use that plugin alone. But for those dubstep wobble sounds, Massive is where I go, so I recommend that. But here's what they sound like soloed. And this one, I just threw a simple delay on it, just a quarter note delay. This is the Waves package H delay, and I'm ping-ponging it, so it's going back and forth. I put a lo-fi filter on it. I want it to be a little bit more dirty and gritty for the delay, but I just thought that rhythm worked with the beat, and it added some texture to it that I liked. All right, so now, like I said, adding new elements. Now in the second basically loop, the second 4 bars of this, I started adding new percussion tracks. So these are the percussion tracks that I added. And as you'll hear, I need to crank up that one a little bit more. And again, this is not mixed or anything. I mean, you can see I've thrown maybe an EQ or whatever on some of the tracks, but like there's a lot more I would have done if this was the final version, just so you know. But this is just when I'm in creative mode and writing mode, I don't get too bogged down in like, well, is the compressor right? Is it, and I suggest for you guys, don't get too bogged down in the nitty-gritty details of making sure every track sounds exactly how you want it, because when you have the creativity flowing, just let it flow, right? You got an idea, put it down, put it down. It's like you're sketching right now. You're just throwing as many ideas onto the palette as possible. Then go back later when you have a complete idea, get rid of what doesn't work, start to sculpt the things into a more, pristine place so the track starts coming together. So what I did was basically I had one percussion track that I like the way that it sounded with the rest of the song, and I'll show you with the drums. Put those together. Already, if I just solo out his original track, you hear how it's much more bare now without all the new industrial elements that I added to the track. So again, it was a great start. Not knocking Thomas, did an awesome job, man. But you got to beef up your production. It's got to be just punching you basically in the gut when you make these tracks. And so one way to do that is to add these kind of elements on top of whatever you're doing. And I did do a pan hard left, pan hard right for the percussion. Little production tip for you guys. I wanted to use this same sound, and I wanted it to pan left and right. Now, if you use the exact same, this is just a loop from, let's see, what is the library here? Evolve Mutations. So this is another, awesome library to check out. If you use the same loop and you pan it, you duplicate the track and you pan it hard left, hard right, you're not going to hear the stereo image because it's the same audio file that's playing, right? So it's going to cancel itself out and you're not going to see that left, right, or hear that left, right image. So my little trick that I do is I actually highlight one of the tracks. It doesn't matter. You can do the one on the left or the one on the right, just one of them. And you actually go in here. Actually, I must have done it to the left. And you actually go up here and you delay the entire track, meaning that I'm pushing the MIDI segment on this track forward just a little bit, like a fraction of a second, right? So 190 seconds, 190 seconds right here. So what that does is that helps create a distance between the audio files between the left and the right, and that's what gives it that stereo image that you like. And I'll show you what that sounds like without the delay. So if I went down to 0, and they're both now on 0, here's what it sounds like. And they're panned right now, hard left, hard right. Sounds like it's coming right through the center, right? Now I throw that delay on there, just 1/92. You should hear it pushing out to the sides now. So just a little trick if you ever want to get a stereo percussion sound. And I like having my percussion a lot of the times stereo because I like the kick and the snare right down the center, but I like some percussion elements to be bouncing around left and right because I want to have that full stereo image, and I find that percussion does really well out there. Moving on. All right. Now this was a rock/orchestral hybrid, right? So I didn't hear a lot of orchestral elements in his original track. So I started adding some strings. So I'll show you what I added. I ended up using a plugin in Contact as well. This one was, I believe it's called Ensemble. How do I get back to the front here? Well, yes, it's called Strings Ensemble. It's by Audio Bro, and it's for the Contact plugin. Really, really, really cool stuff. You can automate the articulations. You can have the strings, all that kind of cool stuff where you're making it breathe as if like it was a real string section that was playing it. So as this track is moving on, I decided, hey, there's no strings in here. We need to throw some strings in. So I put these tremolo strings through this section. So take a listen. Well, that was a little preview of what we did next. But as you can see, it's nothing special. Here's where the MIDI tracks were, and I would probably do even more to this string part if I wanted to take more time to it. But for now, it's a good start. It just adds a little bit of creepiness to it, and it really brings it into that orchestral cinematic mood rather than just in the industrial rock phase of things. So, just adding little, like ear candy like this basically helps bring your track to that next level that'll make a music library or a supervisor go, damn, this is a hot track, we got to use this. So for the final part, I'll show you what I added, and of course I didn't go through the entire song. I'm going to let Thomas finish it up, and I didn't do too much writing for him. That's his job. I ended up adding, let's see, for percussion I actually ended up adding this hi-hat loop right here, which I really loved. Just that little bit of like, you know, kind of like a shaker slash hi-hat loop on the top. And again, it's another Evolve Mutations loop that just really sat well in the track, so I just used it. So with all my drums, and by the way, I'll play you my drums actually here without his track, so you can just hear the difference between what was going on with his track and what I've been adding. So hopefully you can hear all the texture and the intricate things that are going on there, and the depth of, you know, the low of the lows to those low booms to the high of the highs, those high shakers. So you want to really fill out your frequency spectrum there to really bring more depth to your music. So here in this last section, I started adding some really cool growls. Check out this one. What I was doing basically is mimicking what his guitars are doing. Listen to his guitars. Dun, 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 right? And so I found this really cool synth that really plays with it. Check out these two together. And you can do this if you're doing some distorted guitars, guys. Like throw some really cool gritty synthy, gritty synths. Like mimic what the guitars are doing. Mix them in. You might have to finesse it a little bit. You might have to take out some low end, maybe take out some high end, add a distortion onto it, whatever you need to do. But give it a little bit of extra beef. It'll make your guitar sound like, and if you, in the magic, I can tell you this, if you can blend a synthesizer into your guitars and not have your listener even notice that there's a synth in there, but it does sound different than regular guitars, golden. It's golden if you can do something like that, okay? That's the trick also of doing this hybrid stuff, is you're kind of incorporating different elements, but almost to the point where it feels natural and it doesn't feel like you've forced things together. You've actually blended things together. Very nice, okay? And if you can hear it on top of it, it's fine. This one definitely doesn't sound bad on top of the guitars, but even if you can blend this in a little bit more, it'll be sweet. So, and I also just incorporated some of those wobble synths that I had before, so I'll show you how they all sound like this. So, you know, just wobbles and stutters and delays and all that kind of stuff. But all together, it starts sounding like this. And of course, I add some strings to finish off this phrase. Back to his mix. So you should feel now how small his mix feels compared to what's going on when all these other elements are added, right? When you have all these other elements and this depth to the track, it's boom, it's hitting you in the gut, it's dragging you along, right? You feel all this emotion and this energy in it, and that's what people love about music. They love the emotion and the energy and what it makes them feel, right? Even music supervisors and editors, again, they're first and foremost, they're fans of music, so you got to win them over. So hopefully this gives you an outline of how I would be beefing up some production for something like this. So if you're submitting to the rock orchestral hybrid, please, you know, take heed to this advice. If you're uploading music, make sure your tracks are hitting hard like this, all right? If you're on the right track, I'll definitely give you some feedback and I'll let you know what you can do to improve your mixes. I know I said before I'm not going to give you feedback, but I realize, you know, for this licensing opportunity, I definitely will give you guys some honest feedback in the beginning to kind of guide you along to the point where you're going to be ready to submit for your final, you know, 5 tracks if you want to by the 31st of January. So guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I can't wait to hear more music. This got me so excited to hear this track. You guys, you know, keep blowing me away, and I'll keep delivering some awesome stuff for you guys. So keep up the good work, and we'll see you guys very soon.